Hello, and welcome back to the Geek on My Sleeve channel. This is Geek Out 110 over He Who Fights with Monsters by Shirtaloon. And thank you for everybody joining us. I am Upside Down. An amazing book, and I would have to say this is the first series that, spoilers ahead, has done the trapped in another world and then brought back to the original world, and it was done very well. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Currently, there's only one other series that has started to attempt it. That didn't work. What the?
At least that we covered so far.
Yeah, in our experience.
I thoroughly enjoyed it too. Like the hero coming back home, the moment we've all been waiting for and wondering if when he's going to go back to our world, plane of existence, etc. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I am having a major book hangover after finishing book 4 on Audible for those of you guys who are new to the channel. Audiobooks is the only way we can get through these books so quickly. And I think I got through it like 3 or 4 times before this Geek Out. Same?
Yep.
I
At
just,
least.
so much fun binging it again. The other details you pick up the second, third, fourth time through. Yeah.
So book 1, we have the dumpling soup conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's just expanded on it more and more, and just learning about the ever expanding universe and all the astral beings, and the fact that the builder was immortal. And yeah, there's just it's an interesting concept.
Mm-hmm. Really appreciate real quick shout out to everybody. Shirtaloon, Justin, Tordian, Jonas, really appreciate you guys hanging out with us live. And definitely feel free to chime in when we blank on names and just like your favorite moments and everything else from book 4. Trying to keep it spoilers through the end of book 4. I'm so tempted just to
I
start physically reading. I want to know what happens next. And I
I
love the
I
fact that we get a
do.
new one every quarter, which is amazing.
I was gonna say, with how frequently his releases are, we
Mm-hmm.
can schedule for it and not feel behind. And so, yeah, I think we would end up being a one trick at that point.
And by all
Not to,
means, correct us if we misquote, guys, but I think content wise, there's a whole lot up on his Patreon and Royal Road and like up through book 7, 8. Just so much good stuff. Torian said, I loved the A Wizard Did It, I'm the Wizard bit.
yeah,
Jason's humor and then just like how he likes to say really just outlandish things with his game face on as he's kind of like breaking in the family to, hey, everything you know about the universe, the world, it's not complete. Follow me, Alice, down the rabbit hole where I am a wizard ninja.
yeah. So one thing that I'm sorry, I know this isn't directly contained inside this, but I'm excited to see in the future where the vampires and the potential of werewolves,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that like we got a glimpse book 3 towards the end, and that is a huge factor in that world where, oh, I can't remember the guy's name. He's a noble, he's a jerk, he gets taken over by the builder. um Anyway, so the builder leaves him, and he essentially becomes an essence wraith or vampire, and then he ends up eating that soul and more or less become sentient. And so yeah, that's a giant factor in the other world. I'm curious
Mm-hmm.
to see the differences between the vampire in this world and how essentially they were here before the new magic. So
Mm-hmm.
Thadwick, thank you. Yeah. So I'm very curious to see, because Vermilion, I want to say, is
Mm-hmm.
our
Frigg.
resident
Yeah, he's
vampire.
our
I'm
vampire
curious to see
bro.
if he comes through with us.
Mm-hmm. It, yeah.
And
Sure.
that was also a very well done way to kind of introduce all the potential of Earth, where, he throws out a couple feelers, heals a couple kids, does some other things, and then gets the lay of the land.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hats off, Shirtaloon, on the whole hero's journey and Jason up to this point. Like the world building coming back to everything we knew. Because that was something that as he was learning the rules of the other world, he was kind of like questioning about back home and just how we have the astral gods and the local deities. Our atheist office support assistant manager comes back and is now a wizard ninja. And then just like, sorry, so many different awesome things about this book and powering up.
Another random point. I don't know if it's because I'm culturally impaired, and if his uncle being named Hero was more or less than I was thinking it was, or
Mm,
if it's the same as a Hispanic name of Jesus equaling Jesus. So, or if it's foreshadowing of being a hero, but not like a frontline hero, but
I,
being a hero
he has
like
a
this is
family of
where the
heroes now. They're all like super heroes getting their power ups,
yeah, but
introducing
I'm
them.
thinking more like Humphrey, how like his whole family is known for fighting, and this is going to be
Mm,
he's going to be the hero because he's going to be holding down the foundation
some
of the
ancient epic
Hisano
bloodline.
name. Yeah.
Well, they did say the Outworlder was around like with the new essence magic, right? Like a couple hundred years ago, not even when the new the new magic showed up, because we have the EOD engineers.
Or engineers of Ascension.
Yeah, EOA, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, and then we have the Vampire Guild. Um, yeah, really appreciate everyone on the chat helping us out here. Joshua at the EOA, thank you. Tordian commented, weirdly, the way things are going, I expect the Asono family will be de facto nobility in a century or two. That's
Uh,
true.
they definitely need to have it, and it makes sense with the way Farah looks at it, where she's like, "Oh, they're too old to train up. We didn't have skill books like we had for you." So I
Mm-hmm.
see, yeah, this first generation just be getting our feet wet and building it, and then yeah, yeah,
Oh,
next
absolutely.
generation
His
or
his
two.
niece is young enough to where she's like starting to train, right? And they're pretty much building like their own base of operations to raise the next line up, because the magic's only scaling, right? That's part of his whole appeal to
Quest.
the network. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to be another interesting thing because initially when we heard about the dumpling soup, it
Hmm.
was that Asano's world had a thicker membrane and wasn't absorbing any of the magic and that they weren't directly connected. There's not a pathway, but now that in the ending we understand that the old builder and the new builder essentially created them from the same seed, and there is a direct link or correlation because the power is being siphoned from it's in Don's picture. I can't think of
Hmm.
the world, the world he gets transported
Right.
to Earth, and yeah, so there is a direct link, and we know that the reward is us going back.
I wish I
So
I referenced it, because like this book was just so crucial for the world building and understanding all the back story there, like with the interaction with Dawn.
Pilamastus. I probably pronounced that wrong, but thank
Yeah.
you very much there.
Yeah, Joshua, really appreciate you being on it with names.
I'm gonna yeah, names are not my forte.
Uh, right there with you. Um, yeah.
As well as I'm seeing a lot more of sea monsters being the answer to everything in books. Um, or not the answer to everything, but the boogeyman where we have not explored a lot of the ocean, so it fits with there being manifestations underwater
Hmm.
that we haven't been able to get to yet.
Mm-hmm.
Though once we rank people high enough and they don't need to breathe and their bodies are more resilient, maybe we can start
That is
combating.
true. Jason could go under and
Well, I think his is a little different actually, because I don't think it's just from ranking up. I think most people have to rank to tier 3 before they stop breathing because they're no longer made of fleshy meat suits. But he got an advantage because he's an outworlder for his body.
mm, and dying twice.
Proto astral
Astral
spaces.
spaces. Yeah, where the monsters are popping up with the
Yeah.
scaling. That's yeah, we learned in this book that the network that was what they speculated was put together like individually at first, but now the different countries are working together to fight the scaling monsters.
Well, yeah, that and the fact that we learned it was one person who came down or came from somewhere
Mm-hmm.
and started the new magic, which we assume is one of the astral beings, um, people projecting, much like Dawn did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess chronologically, we get the whole Armenian gangster hero, lay of the land, gold situation, along with magically healing kids. I don't think what's after that. Is that the family situation where we start reconvening with our family? And
He does
that's
it through the
another
birthday
thing.
party. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, that's another one that like I have a lot of respect for Shirtaloon because not every relationship is a good relationship, and for a lot of people, they have different family dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
So the way you know, he portrays dealing with his ex with that whole problem
Yeah.
and him coming back to it and his mother for select situations and yeah.
It felt like a real, we went back home with Justin to a real family. It's not all
Or
just
Jason.
Jason. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, looking at the name Justin in our chat.
Um, yeah, complex relationship dynamics. His older brother married his girlfriend, his childhood crush. Finally getting to see it come full circle because we were there
Well,
with him as he
that
was working
and
through all
the
the
whole
emotions and growing.
like weird dynamic. I know we didn't want them to be frontline people, but the factor that his ex is going to get, lightning gun type abilities, and that his brother ends up with, a
Helicopter.
a specialty helicopter.
Come on, just think as we're scaling, like we're in the early DBZ era, right? Like we followed through DB as we learned, we grew, we got super awesome powers from another world.
Well, it reminds me in book one when Jason is trying to describe a bomb and he's like, "Well, just imagine shooting Farah at people," and they're like, "Yeah, we kind of do that," and I kind of see that being a dynamic with, you know, "Oh no, from above," and then throwing the X at him.
Mm-hmm. Torian said the Amy Kato thing hurts. Feel sorry for Jason. Add in his mom being frankly awful. Yeah, and
Or
Jason's grown a lot, but like he doesn't just get over it, right? Doesn't deal with it in his own way. Um, Justin commented, "I loved uh, the way his mom found out he was back." I do too. So
had an
for those
opportunity and
who haven't read it recently or way further ahead, the moment is he connects with his sister at her birthday party, and then she tells everybody surprise emergency meeting, show up. Mama doesn't show. So when he finally does see her, it's when he had just cured his grandmother's Alzheimer's like the night before, and everybody's freaking out at the hospital just walking through. And if I'm remembering right, his sister calls him out on it. But yeah. Jumping around, Justin said, I know it is a bit later in the order, but what do you think about the soul body he gained when he had to go into that astral space to save her? I'm interested in how his soul power will show through.
I am too, and that's one of those, like, I'm excited for the potential, but I'm like, I don't even know where to start speculating on it because we know diamond rankers can essentially go into the astral and are no longer, beholden to whatever, because we get to see that towards the end of book 3 when we meet all of the I don't know where that's coming from.
You good? Some technical difficulties.
Or is that coming from you? Oh, no, sorry. Ba 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 ba.
I thought it was interesting, like when we have our more informal connection with Craig, the vampire at his place, they don't even think there are diamond ranks. Like we learned that the ranking system, they do it by numbers versus the colors of the coins.
Well,
He says something
as
along the
well
lines like what's
as
beyond a myth,
they
right?
ask if there are any gods, and that, or well, Jason explains that, oh, not 6, and it's like, well, what's beyond the myth? And it
Mm-hmm.
turns out it's a god, as well as
Mm-hmm.
they ask if Earth has any gods, and the reality is no. But
Jason does
if the
such a good job
correlation
breaking that
is
down later too.
the same, essentially, whoever comes to power and extends past Diamond or into Diamond has the potential to become a god.
We get some lore later when he's talking to Dawn about it, where I think she says something along the lines of like "not yet" or whatever,
Yeah, because there's not
because
enough magical density or whatnot.
essence, yeah. But
But back to the soul body thing, like he essentially becomes something like Shade, in which
right,
makes me think even I expect this to be far down the line, even like in his old man age when he actually does die of natural causes because he's gonna get away with a win every rank, possibly.
uh,
Shade. I'm trying to remember. I think Shade was actually tasked with staying in the astral space to administer the test.
the Reaper trials, right?
Yeah, for the Reaper trials, where if he wasn't tasked with that, I assume he could have more or less Diamond-esque rank power and gone through to other places. So no, he won't have a body.
Well,
I
he
don't know.
talks about like Shade's crazy old, right? He's talking about
Yeah, yeah,
when he's
because
watching
we,
the niece in the bathroom. No, I'm not going to let you watch her pee or whatever. He's like, psh, pretty much insinuating like I've been around since before your species was around. Like I've been to other worlds. Don't care about your
yeah,
bodily
then
functions, right?
same thing with the Phoenix token when they're asking about it, and
Mm-hmm.
he's like, a couple thousand years.
Yeah, really enjoy their interactions there. Shay just straight up calls him out when he's like narrating if I had a face or if I could sigh,
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
what I'd be
yeah.
doing right now. Like, kind of have that Alfred vibe of the butler, looking over his shoulder. I don't think this is a good idea. I'm sorry, I can't hear you over how awesome this is right now. Um,
Yeah, it would be pretty crazy to get Jason as a familiar, and I could easily see that being a like additional
Oh,
series after the fact because
time hop a
uh
couple hundred years in the future when
well,
like the
not
Asona
even
family
that, but
is ruling
like
this chunk of the new United States.
we are currently in the cosmos or in the dumpling soup dealing with two worlds, okay? We know there are several multiplicable, and there could be some other thing going on that we could
Hmm.
easily start interfering with.
So Joshua says diamond rakers can't die of natural causes. I
Okay,
don't think.
I guess that's
I
true. That kind
think
of
you're
pokes a
right. I
hole in
wanted
that.
to go back and re-listen to the epilogue of book 3 again, and I didn't get around to it because we get to see the negotiations before Jason comes back to his world, right? And all the stipulations with his rank up, um, not coming back from the dead again.
Well, that plus it's quite convenient the way that he can go into his portal and do the ritual with only the components. Yeah, and I guess that's something I needed to go back for his bronze ascension with Shade because
Hmm.
I was under the impression that initially a vehicle in combat didn't make sense because taking any amount of damage would disperse him. But this one, we clearly are taking a bunch of damage, though it's non-magical in nature for majority of it,
That's
or
true,
it's
and we
when
get to
he's
see the
moving around
difference.
quickly enough to avoid damage from monsters.
Hmm. Justin commented, I am excited to see Shade at silver rank. I love the motorbike form and how he couldn't become a Heidel.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
I though I okay, I guess Gordon or not Gordon,
Colin, Gordon.
Colin, thank you.
Yep.
I was a little disappointed with how much we saw Colin in this one, but it makes sense because he was kind of MVP of 3 as well
Hmm.
as, big impact in all the other books. And then
He
I'm
was healing
curious.
after the fight with the rank 3, right? The French assassin.
No, he wasn't because he used him early to mitigate one of the attacks. And
Hmm.
so Colin was essentially dispersed. What happened was, due to the people trying to poison him to knock him out, it gave him enough stacks of his ability that essentially healed him.
Yeah. Colin's going to be interesting to see as he ranks up. Um, yeah, this series is working its way up there for me on like my favorite lit RPGs. And there's just so much epic content. And to see Jason climb through the ranks, right, to get his soul body at this point, um, and just now that he's back home, where he compares to the local magic, nearly going toe to toe with a rank above him.
Yeah, and that is currently the highest rank that we know,
Hmm.
as well as I we so in Palamastus, we don't really see as much as the like societal divides like we do in Earth, where we get, the Americans who are scalping all the looters and,
We
the two other factions. It's
we see
it,
some of it. Like it's just within the city,
it's
right? We're
more,
we're in a
yeah,
small
yeah,
corner
that's
of
what I'm
that
saying.
area.
Like we only got to see equivalent of the starting town,
Hmm.
of which we're also waiting for the monster surge, and I
The
have a
low
feeling
magic
we're
density
going
there.
to bring all of our family over and then immediately start the monster surge because that's how we're going to close the portal, which is going to start the
Well,
surge
that yeah.
epic power leveling montage. Um, I
And the
don't know.
monster surge was late uh, in the other world, and his sister's family wants to go with him when they go back.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like
Leave the other family there to build up, and then take them back
I
with
am
you.
glad the way things developed. It was an exciting variance or difference between them, but I would like to see his whole family go over, as well as Vermilion, our vampire, and then we kind of hinted at werewolves.
That would be
I
cool
would
to
like
have
to
them come
get,
back.
yeah, our party of our vampire, and then bring a werewolf, possibly insert
You
other
you got you
mythological.
got to assemble the homies to take down Cell. Okay, like we just need to knock out a couple of androids, and then when it's time for the big surge.
Well, and I guess that's another interesting dynamic. So currently, the highest rank that's manifesting is tier 3, as well as all of the current endeavors are only up to silver or tier
Mm-hmm.
3 because of the magical density. Anyone who has made it to 4, they hint at, but they're in some stasis
Mm-hmm.
or hyperbolic time chamber per se. Um,
Right.
because we did learn that there was a astral space that can or that has been there permanently because they have tools to measure how long they're going to
Well,
stay.
yeah, the French end up having a little coin farm going.
Yeah. And we may or may not have a base on the moon, though we do have moon
Uh,
bears.
Justin commented, also the other Gordon situation
Yeah.
was great as well. Be glad you wasn't other Colin.
Yeah.
Yeah. It. So
And
this is something I want
I
to get your.
wish oh,
Go ahead.
I wish there was a better way to communicate with Gordon, though I can really respect and understand because like initially with Colin it was if you understand go left, if you don't go right, and Gordon it's
My
to
left, your
shine
left.
or to flash his orb, so it's
Yeah.
equivalently the same. I just feel like Colin has had such a better bonding experience with Jason.
Oh, he was
Shade
there day one.
is bonding, and I feel like Gordon has some serious potential and has been doing well. I guess we did have that epic battle with the silver rank manifest in that first town
Mm-hmm.
he passed through in
Mm-hmm.
book 3.
So during the other Gordon situation, I was
Ah,
at the point.
yes, the were gators in the north. We need to pick up one of
Mm-hmm.
those too. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Um, so yeah, the other Gordon situation was after we went through all the posturing, meeting our boy Craig, the local network. At this point, I believe it's Anna showed up. He showed up at her place after getting kidnapped by the French, and they're on his houseboat, and Jason just knows how to work a room and keep everybody off balance. Being the action guy, Pete, how'd you feel we spent so much time on pretty much the politics of the different powers?
So, Jason's journey through this book was great because essentially okay,
Small
so
town boy comes back home.
Jason's journey was great. He comes back is essentially in a war mindset, and we get to see the dynamics or it being explained from Vermilion. And he pretty much asks him, he's like, "Hey, so how long were you in combat and or active?" And he's like, "6 months." And he's like, "Did you win? I had to die to win." Blah blah blah, so on and so forth. And then we also
Like year
get
and a half,
with
but yeah.
his or a year and a half there active, like full time, was the 6 months in
Oh, that's
the
true. When they were in the other
yeah,
astral.
yeah,
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 yeah.
taking on the builders guys. And then we get to see it again with his brother, or not his brother, his father, when he's saying, oh man, it was an amazing quote. I wish I pulled it, but essentially, when you have the decision to kill the other guy, do it for you, not for them, because at the end of the day, doing what's right for you is more important than doing what's right for them. And so,
Hmm.
like, I
It's not about what they deserve.
there was a lot of combat still because we had the blood vampires, we had oh getting attacked by the Silver Ranker. We
Hmm.
had several excursions into the astral planes. We had getting our helicopter, our plane blown out of the sky, and then that fight.
Right, on the boat, getting
We had
unkidnapped.
getting Farah back and getting
Hmm.
unkidnapped. So like there was still a lot of combat, but it did well developmentally for Jason, developmentally for what the world's powers are and how everything is stacking up right
Oh,
now.
the scaling, the world building, it's so well done, and it feels so just authentic and real along the journey,
Yeah.
going with them every step of the way. And then while we're doing it, also seeing all the other pieces on the board slowly come forward to the point where, yeah, the Justice League is assembled. Let's take on some monsters coming out of the sea.
Real quick here, Michael says, feel like Don's role was underwhelming in the latest book. I hope you're talking about four because I don't know any further. What is the point of even introducing her at all? I would say the opposite. I felt like Dawn's role was A, to show us how the new magic came into the world and give us an example of it, as well as to have a communication with the astral being of the Phoenix. Because in the previous iterations, like Shade says, you just got into a knife fight with a being who Mir's presence would destroy the reality as
Right,
we know
working
it.
through a
And
proxy.
so I felt like it fits in the vein of the astral beings in the Phoenix,
Well,
as
she
well as providing knowledge and understanding for other events that have happened. Um,
it was the call to action for us at that point too. Like we finally just got through all the fighting with the family, and sister's like, hey, let's go to another dimension, slay some monsters. I'm done with my kitchen show. And his favorite painter, I thought that whole interaction the first time he saw her, and she was walking away, I'm your favorite painter, and he's like, you're, I forget the name, but pretty much like a dude that's
yeah,
been dead for a couple hundred years. Like he just totally knows how to throw people off. But yeah, then Sis is like, all right, let's go back. And the call to action, now we really know stuff's getting weird and Jason needs to save the day.
well,
Year
yeah, it
two
was
years
enough of
ago,
a
assistant manager.
foreshadowing or potential that, yeah, like I can foresee a saving the
Peter
world
Paul
being a great
Rubens,
thing.
thank you, Tordian, in reference to the artist.
Ah,
Um, yeah. And then, as we were talking about earlier, or Torian says Jason popping in Anna's kitchen and complaining about the store-bought bread was also hilarious.
okay, so let me touch on the food real quick. That is something that
Jason's a
I can
foodie.
definitely feel in my soul from the author about the food stuff, and I I'm guesstimating that in typical MMOs or video games, you can take foods for buffs, seeing
That's
as we
his
are
sister's
foodies.
total essence
I
thing.
can see his
We're going to get
sister.
garbanzo beans, dude.
or sensu beans.
Sensu beans, yeah.
I'm gonna say garbanzos are IRL silliness.
Uh,
But I'm excited to see the potential food, and yeah, that was definitely a funny moment. Get your kitchen in order, lady.
and so many people bond over food. Like I enjoyed the fact that we had so many scenes in the kitchen with the family, but with Jason coming back, like essentially Anna, the last she heard of him, the silver rank, the level 3, showed up at her embassy office, whatever, nearly dead after drinking some epic potions. Like if the fight would have continued, Jason would have wiped him out, but he managed to get himself kidnapped and then shows up in her kitchen. Like perfect way to diffuse the situation. Because if I was Anna, I would be freaking scared. Like, you're supposed to be kidnapped. I know what you did to this guy. And he's just ranting to her about supporting local
Well,
business and buying bread.
and so that's another thing that it was a point of view that we saw that wasn't main character, which has been done very well, where they essentially do a psychological eval
Mm-hmm.
and pretty much,
Have
oh,
analysts
it's
on
not
him.
catfishing, but they pretty much say, hey, someone should throw themselves at him, and they're like, that's not gonna work.
Oh,
His brother
honey
literally
trap.
had this honey trap. Thank you.
Yeah.
Had this, falling out, as well as we see Vermilion kind of say his measure of Jason, where he gets his whole um, faction. I can't remember what they're named. His whole faction to say, hey, don't attack Jason. It'll go very badly. And he gets to see the fact that
They
treating
all want
kindness
what
with
he has,
kindness,
though.
or what's up?
They all want what he has, like knowledge and skills from another world.
Well, yeah, but it goes back to the whole question of, is it right because I win and the winners write history, or is it right because you take into account all the possible ramifications as well as treating people like human beings? Cabal, thank you, Eric. The Cabal is the faction I couldn't remember. Yeah, yeah, that's very true, Lord Red. How Gordon bonds through old movies.
We get to
I was
see the
thinking more of like a
personalities.
trial by fire kind of moment, but
Oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I do appreciate getting to see the other familiars' personalities through their own way, like Gordon watching old movies and his uncle's bodyguard, who, like, yeah, the whole cast was a lot of fun.
Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I so yeah, that's an interesting party dynamic. I don't think they'll be Jason's, but we've got Taika, who is not, I forget what he's specced out as, who is not the big slow guy. And then
Quick,
we have
I was about to say, quick plug. We'll make sure to include it. He Who Fights with Monster has a popping Discord and see a lot of familiar faces, but they have a lot of that stuff up in there. I'll try to find the reference um, on what everybody gets. But yeah, watching them kind of go through and come into their own powers. Yeah, 100% Eric. Absolutely love all the references in these books. There was a lot of good nerdy nods, like when they were playing a video game and they don't quite come out and say it, but talking about the tracks were better on the Wii and finding an online game.
Taika is Might Swift Wing Garuda. Yes,
Hmm.
thank you very much, there.
Thank you, Joshua.
And so I don't see it
He
being
starts
Jason's
fighting.
party that he forms, but with potential stuff going forward, I see Taika, his sister with the cooking stuff, their daughter, who we love and adore. Essentially his family. The only
Mhm.
two, possibly three, who aren't going to be in the fighting party I would see is Hero, his dad, his mom.
Farah's taken Hero under her wing, though. Farah's just taken over
Yeah,
everything.
I'm
Like
saying like a
she's
party.
the MVP of this book. Let's be honest. Like Jason
Oh
is
man, out
awesome
of
in the dark
all the ways
corner.
to bring people back to life,
Mm-hmm.
and the way like didn't give too much away throughout all of it, and then yeah, just being not really able, but being forced to unleash, and then having to take the Phoenix's offering, and possible consequences of that. But yeah.
Yeah. Starting to train up the network's team for fighters,
Mhm.
starting our own little training club, and then Taika going and fighting. He doesn't get the same freedom that Farah and Jason do, but learning how to actually fight on the front lines is fun. Lord Red said, I died twice, and the second time I even brought a friend with me.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Just Jason's so fun with his little humble flexes when anybody's starting to get attitude and just throw snark at him. It's like, oh yeah, been there,
Well,
done that
that and like
twice.
I I understand there's vast cosmic powers at play, but he's so much more than anything we've currently had explained or shown to us. He definitely has a lot to learn, but he has a lot of additional, I guess, mutations that are going to aid him in his endeavors for being an outworlder, or the
Oh yeah.
Phoenix's power that he accepted, for like he's essentially a one-man army between Shade, Gordon, and
Mm-hmm.
Colin.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing he lacks in is leaving people alive. Though I guess he technically can if he
I don't
feeds
know.
on their
Like
sins and
he
doesn't do his next
yeah, he's a affliction specialist, right?
ninja warlock,
And
yeah.
as awesome and epic as he is, we still see when he's outclassed, right? Like he's not the OP main character because he just doesn't have the raw output that like Farah does, or
Eh,
um,
if he wasn't punching a rank up, I see him as the person who just kites people around between
absolutely,
his starlight cloak creating shadows he can teleport to,
absolutely,
and shade creating shadows he can teleport to, him attacking, Gordon attacking, like yeah.
yeah. Um, Justin said, really love the spirit vault and how those that fully trusted him can enter now.
That, as well as the convenient avenue that Farah gets, and how
Her
every
outworlder
outworlder
power.
gets a power
Mm-hmm.
to help them go through it.
Mm-hmm.
And she obviously didn't understand English. She was taken by the French, correct?
Yeah, she landed in France.
So she doesn't speak French, and just that being a way to teach her languages without skill book potential.
Yeah, and just like completely foreign concepts, right? Like we got to see Jason muddle through it. The fact that we could just hook up our Wi-Fi. Jason does come with Wi-Fi, we find out, and get a download of why I need identification documents.
Okay, and another
Just like
thing
all that
that
fun stuff.
I don't need anyway. So in book one, when um in book one when we're talking with oh, I can't think of his name. Anyway,
Santa Claus.
he's pretty much like, you think your world's better than mine? We have magic. Yeah, well, we have porn.
I think that
So
was
how
Gary.
scary. How
Yeah.
do they not have it? Because he's literally always doing recording crystals, and they have Avatar 3D projectors as
You
well as, or
you're
it's
you're pretty sure that they have internet porn or porn over
or
there.
well that they could have TV,
No,
and
the
pretty much when
family
they talk
calls
to the
them out.
dad, and they're like, yeah, we could totally have a yeah. They the potential is there, and I don't feel like that was a valid.
I love how he struggled like answering his family's questions without just saying because of magic, like he was shouting at them towards the end. Where they're like, hold on. So you can make a vlog, but you can't call, you can't write. We all thought you
Yeah.
were dead. Da, 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 da. Like it'd be like, you'll understand. Come with me through this magic portal where I shall blow your mind with magic and mischief.
Well, and I guess it comes to the fact that like other than essence accumulators and other ways to make things work unless they're in a sufficiently dense magical area, or similar to Clive for using his magical vehicles having to have the direct power to do it. Um, Sidestep, I enjoyed the fact that in this other world they had additional unique things that are similarly different, such as I can't think of the name of the drug, but it's essentially where you take recording crystals and do unsavory stuff
Mm.
to live the world, much like our
Oh, the mirage
VR.
chambers and
No, no,
whatnot.
no, no, no. It's a
Oh,
drug that they
oh, yeah.
our evil guy who tries to torture us with the star seed ends up running it for can't think of the word.
This book addressed some of that, like just the similarities between worlds as well. But taking a step back, appreciate Shirtaloon confirming that it was internet porn. They have the regular stuff, but it's not on their phones.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah.
Oh, sorry. I know I'm getting distracted. And this is where we like to keep YouTube PG for the most part. But I guess it's not popping up here. It's on my other one. Lord Red said the sex magic and that whole
Mm,
thing.
hmm.
Um, yeah,
There's
great
potential
comic
there.
relief, great potential for future forward. Um,
Read off a couple quick comments here. When we were talking about Jason's experience in the other world, Joshua commented, "You need to remember that Jason has effectively been in a third world country the entire time," which is true. Like low magic density back in Greenstone is considered way higher than they have back on Earth, quote unquote, as well as just like the size.
well, and
Uh,
then he has the potential to a cloud house for sustaining users of higher ranking because his cloud house creates a normal magic density.
mm-hmm,
And then with his new soul spirit body, he can extend the time of the astral spaces.
mm-hmm. Michael says, any speculation on the lost soul in book 3 that was absorbed by Thadwick? How would the author bring that to a close in the next book?
I don't foresee that being a closure element. I foresee that as being and granted, this is from my experience with Brandon Sanderson. Brandon Sanderson does a good job of introducing people that you love to hate and
That's
then
definitely
seeing it
Thadwick.
from their perspective and coming to the
Mm,
understanding of what is evil. Evil is just the guy in opposition. You know, they have a family, they have other reasons for doing their things, what I would like to see when insert bringing over our vampire, they have an interaction. I would like to see the new
Craig would
of
be
which
fun to
was
come back with.
previously understood to be Thadwick, of which is you then turned into an essence vampire, which then absorbed a soul, which we don't know much about the soul other than it was tasked with protecting the sword, which we assume the sword had epic foreseen, this is currently the realm of death powers. So we assume the soul was for justice or in opposition, some way to failsafe it. So I see it as being vampires becoming accepted and us needing their powers to do stuff. Um,
We
I,
saw
I don't see it
the
being a wrap up thing because let's be honest, Thadwick's main house can be wiped off the map, and I'm okay with that, love to hate. But the potential of Thadwick himself and the trials and tribulations he has gone through, I see it as being a launching platform
but it's not really
of
Thadwick anymore, right?
no, it's not. He's been completely replaced. So I'm
Redemption story
very curious, and I
with
think
vampires.
currently the only potential we have is my understanding our current vampire is old magic.
Right.
He has the potential to go ahead and absorb the new magic, which he hasn't. So, if we insert new magic into our vampire, who after getting it would be rank 1, but is somehow already considered rank 2, he might be able to train up, be considered to combat, or hold his own. Meanwhile, having a conversation with previously Thadwood. That would be my speculation.
And we're only up through book 4. I'm looking forward to when we come back and get to see the worlds collide. I hope you're right. Bringing Craig back and seeing him pick up some additional powers, kind of a hybrid of the magic, could be pretty interesting.
Well, I guess with the conversation with him, he's old magic and he hasn't absorbed any of the new magic. Not to say that
Well,
people
vampires
in
have
his
been around
employ,
since before money, is what he insinuates. Like,
yeah, and that he has a
um,
stranglehold on religion.
yeah,
So I could also see him
yeah.
staying behind, or when we come back, if we come back.
I'm really curious how far we get just time wise. If we're all the way up to book 8, we're only like 2 years in, just coming back. We know, according to Dawn, we have to go back to the other world. There's clearly a lot of training and development that needs to be done locally, like the stuff that
Oh yeah,
Farah and
we
them are
still have
doing
some
with a little
time.
bit. Like the looting powers helping. They're getting geared up. Um, Into book
So
4, we leave off where Jason's pretty much going to go backpacking and drop in and say hi to the other branches, quote unquote.
yes, and that's where I foresee because the US was hinted at for their potential power, as well as Jason realized that because they
That
have
was a
the looting
fun
monopoly
interaction.
and we get that interaction with the other individual who is not using cores, it
Hmm.
essentially saying that all the information was wiped out on purpose, that prior that was the way to do things. Um,
But they're only able to really do that more so now because we have all the
yeah,
additional pockets of monsters we got to go slay and level up. Um, it was a fun journey having him basically start off just flexing on gangsters to having to negotiate or turn down China and the US as they try to poach him and his looting power.
Uh, I'm drawing a blank on the magic blender.
Might have been previous book.
are okay. The only magical blender I remember from the previous book is when he's talking to the leader of the magic council or whatnot, and he's like, "Are you the guy who sold me that dodgy food processor or whatnot?"
I appreciate how he likes to keep people off base.
It was book one.
Or so. The Divine Square before the gods showed up. Was that him getting the smoothie?
Oh, the other.
The fruit seller. Yeah, Joshua
Oh,
says it was the fruit seller.
that's one of the brothers. They all share
No,
the
no, no,
same
no.
name.
No, it wasn't one of the octuplets or
Bert's.
whatever, the birds.
It wasn't? Okay. Maybe
Oh,
maybe I'm
maybe
thinking
it was.
of when Jason's parkouring all over the place and falls into the fruit vendor. That one is a
That was the
Bertinelli.
bird.
Okay.
Yeah,
Or it was a fruit seller. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, magical blenders. I'm curious to see
No,
what's his
yeah.
sister.
Josh says no, it's not the bird. I
Oh,
think it's
okay.
talk about the guy that makes the smoothies as he's spouting heresy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The guy he meets when the gods show up, and he's pretty much like, "Oh, you need to kneel down." No, that's not how this works. And everyone's like, "Oh, you know that guy?" No, and then yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I got there.
Oh, that's a good point. Lord Red says Jason might be able to travel through the astral space because he's a Gestalt entity now.
Yes,
I
I
really
foresee him being able to, as well as Farah not gaining new separate Outworlder powers because she's already an Outworlder. I
mhm.
foresee all of our family members getting either A, an upgrade, or B, passively failed safe due to something Jason cooks up to create
Mm.
a interdimensional submarine spaceship. I guess we're going spaceship to protect them, though they could all become Outworlders.
Appreciate the clarification. Shirtaloon says Arash is a religious man Jason met when he first sees a god. He later buys blended fruit drinks from his stall.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
So when he's standing up, and gets kind of
yeah.
the
When
head bob from
everyone's,
Dominion.
yep,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then knowledge ends up pouting about it later. I wanted to be the first god you had an interaction with.
hmm And then sure enough, like now that he's back and he's met some gods as like his uncle and everybody's asking him if he's an atheist still. Um, and trying to convince them he didn't join a cult, but
Yeah,
believes in gods, but doesn't worship. Just um, yeah. So
yeah.
much awesomeness in this book. What I know we've kind of like scratched the surface, but Farah coming back was such a huge thing for this book because like
Oh
the
yeah.
impact she had on Jason
That
early on.
that was a deep moment, and uh, yeah, yeah. I it takes a lot to kill off a main character as well as a
hmm
mentor. I
hmm
think it was well done and well executed with the powers at play.
Right.
Um, the potential when he does get back to uh, Halamustas? No.
Close
Get
enough.
back to the other world is great. Um, yeah, but yeah, Farah is definitely a like if he could have brought back anyone, that was a great option.
It
And we
could
get to
also
see,
be poorly done, and I've seen it done in other books where like they come back from the dead just because of the plot, yet like it's clearly within the power set that Shirtaloon laid out, and getting to see the astral beings kind of manipulate and have their fingers and all this stuff, right? Like
Well,
Shade's daddy.
it takes the idea of being a god to the next level because in typical fantasy lore, there are gods, but for some reason they can't interact with the mortals. They can influence or assist,
Mhm.
but
Or have
it makes a lot more
proxies.
sense this way.
Did you ever? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Lord Red here. Farah said all her racial gifts evolved when she became an Outworlder. Yes, as well as we didn't get any descriptions. It pretty much was like it was explaining how she got captured, where she accepted all the knowledge at once, but we don't know what they actually were. So there's still some potential for. Uh,
Hmm.
please tell me.
And then Shirtaloon said, I was really worried about making that choice. Undoing a major death has the potential to ruin everything by destroying the story stakes. And yeah, like I said, I've seen it done poorly, but for me, like Farah coming back was well done.
If it did very well, simply because it got us a chance to see the astral beings and the fact that Shade says essentially, Daddy Death or whatever his name
Hmm.
actually is. Um, this is how they interact and this is how they make concessions to each other. That they have laws and rules, but by giving up something or
Hmm.
changing it for others' gains is how they do it, as well as like the character development with Jason after seeing Farah go through a traumatic event.
Hmm.
And oh man, there's a line in there, and I wish I pulled it, but essentially, when Farah's talking to Jason as he's trying to essence up and do everything, and he's trying to handle everything and he's getting caught up in his own head, and she's like, what you do is you essence everybody up, you train up the ones worth anything, and then you give cores to the rest, and then you just got to get out of the way. Like
Hmm.
it was a great opportunity for development through or with Jason.
Yeah, and so there's just so much about the characters that Sherloon does so well. And Jason, like he went through the trauma after he got kidnapped and dealt with it one way, right? And then just like thinking back to the first couple books to why his aura controlling is so well is because like he always felt afraid or like overwhelmed, right? So that's just how he is. Like everybody deals with trauma differently, and he reaches out to the local silver ranker, um, the one who's trying to rob the cradle with him, and pretty much asking how he can help Farah. And she's like, "Hey, just continue to be a good friend. Everybody deals with it differently. She's from a whole other world and culture and everything else." And yet she's still being there to mentor him and help him deal with all the overwhelmingness of his family and the complicated relationship dynamics. And as attractive as our buddy Rufus was, he's not always right. Core advancement is appropriate. Like they won't be the most epic, awesome fighter, but they'll be able to be a glass cannon or cause them enough damage that they can get the family out if stuff gets hot, right?
So real quick, Michael, wait, how will Jason be able to bring his family to the other world if physical bodies are destroyed when traveling through the astral space? Great question. I would present to you
As
when we did
Jason
the
says,
Reaper trial,
magic.
it was essentially they had giant golems that were the builders from an astral space that was probably elsewhere. This astral space was probably connected to the builder's world he's trying to build, ramped up with all these, diamond ranked, let's go break some stuff. And then the Order of the Reaper got in there, ended up siphoning power from them to do separate things. on top of, Jason can now help prolong and facilitate astral spaces or whatever they're called that are attached to the worlds surviving longer. So if there was a way for him to keep them from becoming outworlders, hashtag I don't think you should or whatever, because like outworlder powers are obviously awesome, um, and they're typically advancements. So my guess would be he takes the astral space that has not decayed and or another astral space of which he happens to be building his family's nobility safe hold whatever, and then keeps it stable while transporting through. Yeah, that would be my guess.
Justin commented, wasn't the Reaper trial space technically a vehicle?
Yeah, and that's
And
how the builder got all of his super death robots
yeah,
on
Torian,
there.
the entire Reaper trial area was an astral vessel, which is used to travel back and forth.
That
So
would be my only potential keep them from becoming outworlders. But I would like to see advancements and developments in their powers when they accidentally become them anyway.
yeah.
Taken in the idea of Elon Musk, where everybody else just keeps blowing up their spaceships, and Jason tries to create a spaceship, but doesn't work. Outworlder powers, and
When
then he figures out how to Elon Musk it and how to keep a spaceship afterwards.
when
Because let's face it, we're not an astral being that can, um, control astral spaces like that.
Jason will find a way.
I still want them to have Outworlder powers.
Yeah. Though the
Because that, like,
Outworld
literally, the definition of the Outworlder powers is to gain powers and abilities to help them, interact or be
deal
able
with the
to do
transition.
stuff in the new world.
Hmm.
And currently, they don't speak whatever language is native there. So Jason got the map ability, the storage ability, so much great grand stuff that they kind of need to be shot through the astral, and we'll promise they'll arrive on it because they're connected.
Lord Red, since Jason has the power to die once per rank and come back, would each reincarnation stack if he didn't use them before ranking up?
I don't know. I would
Mm,
have to look into it, but I'm pretty sure he has one that he gets at the bronze, then he has one at the silver, and then after that it's diamond, which it changes, so it wouldn't really be relevant, or it will, but will have possible modifications.
is it iron, bronze, silver, gold, diamond?
Oh yeah, I forgot about gold. Okay, so he has three potential. I don't know if they stack up.
Joshua, humans have a good setup too, though. They have 4 empty slots which adapt to the essence they use. That's true. If you're an outworlder, you're no longer a human.
Yeah,
Um,
but our sister got her out or her human thing already changed to gourmet and gourmand, and then I guess the brother would be okay because, magic powers with helicopter as well as his ex would be beneficial because lightning gun.
Appreciate it, Shirtaloon, on a clarification. Use it or lose it. One get out of jail free per rank tier level.
Yeah, and since he's at the beginning of bronze, and we do have potentially quite a few years before we need to close the
And he's powering up quick.
portal between worlds. Yeah, but he doesn't currently have. We did a lot of running around in this one, where
Mm-hmm.
he literally was in the hyperbolic time chamber power leveling with his team in the
Right.
best
The last
possible
6 months.
scenario. Yeah, so not to say that we can't facilitate that, and not to say that isn't exactly what's going to happen on his backpacking through Europe journey, but that was a teaser, and we haven't gotten there.
Eric says, "Great. So we're going to have a Leroy Jenkins moment." That's pretty much what Shade calls him out on with the token, right? Like, I intentionally didn't tell you because he didn't say it that way.
I don't see him going and doing that per se, though.
Oh, come on. The opportunity to have some
Well,
dramatic last stand if he
I
knows he has to get out
could
of jail.
if there's something endangering his family, but if he's elsewhere, I,
He was ready to burn
he
stuff
is
down just for
currently
Farah.
rank 1 of yeah, he does have 9 levels to get through. I will accept it if he's at least rank 8 or 9. If it happened sooner,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Um,
Yeah.
so we always ask it. I know we talked a bit on it already, though. Were you satisfied with the combat?
Yep.
We
Yeah,
had some pretty
there was
good epic
quite a bit of
fights.
combat. Yeah, quite a bit of combat. I enjoyed the way coming back to the world was introduced. I enjoyed the way the family was introduced. I wish we got to see more of their powers, but there's a lot of potential and a lot happened, and it was a beefy book all in all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wish we got to see what modifications becoming an Outworlder had on Farah, but seeing
We
as
had
Jason is
some.
backpacking and the family is more or less being taken over by her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she's just a wealth of knowledge too, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's clear
she's
that,
forgotten more magic or more knowledge than I know.
and for me, that also helps with the buy-in for me with like bringing Farah back with the astral beings, like the simple fact that she is such a wealth of knowledge and has that connection to him.
We
If their
could have
goal
gotten
is
away
to,
with it in the fact that like the people of this world have a introduction to magic class as well as his oh magic book of updating when connected to the network thing, and he did the whole like, hey, this is what you'll get off of combining these essences.
mm-hmm.
So like there was some potential that they could have done it, but Jason is
Oh,
more
yeah,
whimsical and blunt edges than that.
he's
So
not somebody you really want training people. He's a
uh,
good
yeah,
resource of
there's
knowledge. Like, he'd
potential,
be good for a
and
couple. Yeah,
yeah,
not the same structure and discipline that Farah has.
yep.
Um, and just all the power-ups we need to do, right? Like,
Yeah, I'm excited to see the family come into their own. I don't foresee a lot of them really accepting cores, if I'm being honest, and I hope they don't.
well, they already got a lot of them. Oh, I'm sorry, cores.
Yeah.
We got through the
Fighting
exit
and
power.
building up their power
Gotcha,
versus
gotcha.
yeah.
Hmm. So much epicness. The pre-order for book 5 is already up.
Yeah,
Um,
that's another thing
really
that's been amazing.
looking
Consistent
forward to
release
it.
dates.
Yeah, like every couple months we get a new book comes out. Looks like book 5. No, oh yeah, April 5th, 2022. Heath Miller does a great job narrating too. This is my first time um, having him as a narrator. I think we have a lot of
Mm,
favorites.
I'd have to look. We have too many books.
Hmm. Michael says, even though Shade is part of the Reaper, Shade's combat ability seems very low. Is this intentional to balance the game-like characteristics, or is there a big reveal? He can
So
only be
I
as
would
strong as Jason,
say,
right? Like, even though he's super old,
even
who's his
though he
rank?
was a part of the, Reaper, he's just his shadow. So it was only
Well,
intended to
Jason
be
refers to him
that
as his
element.
dad, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. And that, also makes us ask, oh, I forget which ending of the books it was. It might have been three, but essentially there's a diamond ranker that goes back and, takes back his things that he
yeah,
has bestowed, and he essentially watches one of the factions of his family be,
yeah, the
you know,
nation rebels. They're
yeah,
like,
wiped
hey,
out.
granddaddy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because diamond drinkers live forever and have multiple things, and Shade is essentially the Astral's version of that.
Mm-hmm.
I,
Yeah.
but yes, Shade powering up, leveling up is, yeah, I think that's going to have a lot of potential, and I could easily see him getting nerfed or struggling to be helpful as we travel through the astral to get back to Palimpsestus, can't remember the other world's name, and get beset by space pirates. Not saying that happens, that's pure speculations, but space is darkness unless light has had time to travel to where you are. I guess he does have his cloak of stars that can create shadows. Anyway, yeah, a lot of great stuff, a lot of potential. Um, yeah, the I'm very curious to see more of each of the factions, and I think that's potential for the next book when we're going on our backpacking or figuring everything else out. Um, yeah, as well as just upgrading his potential for his traveling.
We got to see a bit through Craig as a filter, but it'd be a lot of fun to see more of the Cabal, and we're the EOA, right?
Yeah, because
Correct
my
me if I'm wrong. It
assumption
was
of
subtle, but we pretty much confirmed that they're part of the Builder cult, right? The EOA.
I potentially I would say no, only because my reference would be yes, because when he got attacked by the silver ranker, it said a converted or something, or there's another one where it was the converted, and we know of those through the builder with the star
Hmm.
seeds, but we also get the semblance of it wasn't the same. Insert that one person gave all the magic to the world for the new magic, also that the Phoenix is in opposition to what the Builder is doing, trying to save the world. Insert has already brought Dawn down and used other entities to do it. I would think Phoenix or in opposition to Builder, but I could be wrong. Um, yeah, and one reason is we've already seen the Builder. Second reason is we know that whoever came down and gave everybody new magic is trying to do in opposition to what the builder's doing because they created the mesh network.
Mm. Torian comment, Jason specifically said he didn't feel the Builder's power from them.
Yeah, yeah,
Because, yeah.
that as well. So I could see it being a star seed from another astral entity one that lines up for me is the Phoenix. But we do know there are others involved.
Yeah. This fun speculation from Josh. Oh, I clicked the wrong one. Lord read, if Jason didn't end up with essences he has, what kind of powers would he go for? So, like, if he got to choose at this
I
point, he's an
I don't know.
affliction specialist.
I think his power set lines up personality wise, and that's one of the
Let's
things
be
that
honest,
I
he'd want a
feel.
lava cannon like Farah.
I don't think he would be a good front end DPS.
Oh,
Like,
I hear you. I hear you. We weren't saying what he would be best at. I think he's great with his power set. Part of it was
yeah,
his training and coming into it. But let's be honest, like day one, if he showed up there, he was infatuated with that lava cannon.
yeah,
Who wouldn't want to shoot lava? And not only that, but like I feel like we've just scratched the surfaces with the essence, because are we talking just the other world essence or local essence? Because like they have stuff from our realm like gun essences,
and tech essence.
yeah, helicopter like abilities. Not just any helicopter, but it's like futuristic, let's go sideways, left, right, up, down. Yeah.
AR piloting, so you don't have to go
Hmm.
boom.
Jason, I think he'd go for something flashier. I could totally see that.
Yeah, but he kind of does that. Like the whole
Come on,
thing that we don't
the humble
like in
flex.
the other chamber murdering kids, can't think of the name. As well
Garage
as
chamber.
like he does the
Uh,
dark and mysterious. Yeah.
I could see this too. Michael says, I feel like Jason would most likely be a mobile tank, like Sophie. Yeah. Eric, I'm pretty sure he would travel the world to try to find the Michael Bay, comma, just grandiose explosions. Lava cannon, Michael Bay essence. Yeah. Gosh.
I wanna see what Ozzy Osbourne got.
I know. I know. I really got kicked out of the
I
fact
wanna
that they're
see
like,
him randomly along our journeys.
what was it, Farah? I forget the actress, but like they basically the niece and
Said
Farah
so and
bully
so is
him into
old. We need
calling.
to, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah.
stopped doing that a while ago. Yep. Yep, yep. But
And
as we see from the other world, they have essences designed for politicians, so
hmm
potential.
Joshua says there's an official essence combo on the Discord uh, that just makes you an action hero.
Okay. Yeah, I need to. I guess that's where I'm
One
not
hand
quite prepared
vehicle action.
because I have only what we've seen inside the books, and there's a lot of potential. So I guess I wasn't really prepared for answering that.
I would love to tabletop in this world. Um, yeah, so much fun, so epic. Definitely looking forward to book 5. Um,
Anything
any
we didn't really touch on?
it's always so hard to cover these books in an hour and a half.
Or,
Um,
yeah, I just felt like we hit a lot of the big key points.
mhm.
Um,
Introducing the family to magic, getting them powered up,
Making
under,
deals with the superpowers, saving
understanding the
Farah,
national scale. Yeah, yeah.
knowing what we need to do is, study astral magic.
I'm
Next
glad.
time I die and go to another world, I'm bringing 5.
Yeah. It was nice to get some closure on some of the other stuff that as a character he was working through. Um, as he was in the other world, kind of getting over his hangups with his ex and his brother. Kind of getting some closure, some peace there as we scale everything up. I think his niece is going to be pretty fun. It'll be fun to see what kind of power she gets after going through some intense training.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Is it that time? Final thoughts, and then Pete's been on it. Shout out to you on getting up all our upcoming Geek Outs.
Yeah, I did a massive
Yeah,
yeah.
2022, we're trying to do a bit better. You can definitely believe we'll be covering book 5 after it drops on Audible.
That's the only
Probably
thing I'm
April.
trying to figure out is we'd like to cover it sooner than later. Especially people in the Audible or I read with my third eye community.
We
You can
binge
get
them
through
pretty
it
hard
fairly
when they come
quick.
out, and it's nice to catch the hype and the excitement. Safe to say, we'll probably always stay firm on the next 2, but those that are out a couple months, we might shift around a bit. Always looking for other books to geek out on. We have a couple that we've worked in that were requested, so just let us know.
That's a good point there, Eric. What are your thoughts about what's going on in the other world while Jason is here? I'm trying to remember all
I
of
would
what
I
was
would
going
love to
on
get
throughout
some
that.
glimpses, but we didn't get any of that in this book.
Well, we did towards the end of 3, where essentially knowledge gives the books back to Clive,
Mm-hmm.
and we know that there are still more builder entities we need to take care of, as well
Mm-hmm.
as we knew that Purity was being, oh, uh, Holocaust level purity, and we know that knowledge is planning to combat it, um, as well as when we finally stop the transfer between the two worlds, that the monster surge is going to happen. So I foresee a lot of cosmic weirdness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, as well as we have previously known as Thadwick going off doing his own thing. I yeah, yeah, there's a lot of potential. Um I foresee the common ploy of the best way to unite vast cosmic forces is with a common enemy coming into play, because we need to address and deal with the builder. I foresee Jason becoming better at astral magic and then trying to show Clive a thing or two just for Clive to already figure them out and or to perfect them better. Uh, Humphrey may or may not be getting any more biscuits. Um,
Do you miss his dragon? They're going to be powering up too. They're not just going to be on holiday while Jason's
or
over
well,
here.
I'm trying to think of the other big thing was, oh, the other one who knows the same fighting style is a Celestine.
Sophie?
Um, Sophie Wexler. I'm
Yeah.
curious to see what the big other arc that was going on with that is. The gold ranker Amir and Sophie were supposed to go off and look into other stuff because a higher than Amir, potentially diamond ranker, was asking him to find stuff. So they're going to be looking more into the builder cult. She's going to power up. Yeah, that's probably an arc I'm excited about, is to see how, because they all were a team and they're kind of getting divided up. Can't
I can
remember how the
only
split was.
imagine when we get current, like we're seeing all these different people power up, back in the other world, and now here we are powering up Earth's finest warriors, Can you just imagine some of like the big epic scale battles of following them all? We had some awesome moments just with Jason's team over there in that little pocket astral place as they went toe to toe with the builders, right?
Yeah, yeah. Our superpowers of the other world going toe to toe with the builders, and then humans' finest to or Earth's finest coming over and potentially. Yep, that is true, Eric. Amir had Sophie look after his granddaughter, which is
Start
another.
training.
Yeah. For because Amir was trying to get her the Reaper fighting style as a present, and then yeah.
Lord Red says it's going to end up being Rufus's grandfather that hired Amir, our treasure hunter.
Mm. Who turns luck into fortune, fortune into
Yeah,
luck.
Rufus is has all the famous sayings, ran the academy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, miss
Well, and
those
that's another thing.
guys.
Like we've still only seen our small section of the other world, which is ironically just a starting town.
Mm-hmm.
And like as far as Earth goes, like we still have more potential because there are silver rankers and we're not a silver ranker.
Well, Farrah just
But
ranked
then,
up
well,
at the end of this
yeah,
book.
yeah,
We're getting there.
and
And
then
Jason's just like right on her heels too. So he's been powering up quick compared to other Essens, magicians, wizards, etc.
yeah. Well, but then you go to the other world and like we have gold
Oh,
rankers and we
yeah.
know there are diamond rankers
Mm-hmm.
as well as possible higher diamond ranking manifestations potential.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep.
So,
Oh,
sorry, go ahead. Other thoughts?
or no, I was gonna say that yeah, lot of potential. Coming up next is about how do you pronounce that?
Algorithm?
Algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
Book 7 in the Arturian Archive series by Dennis Vanderkerken and Dakota Kraut, part of the Divine Dungeon universe. Um, yeah, I have not read it yet. It, from some of the hints we have gotten, it goes into some of the more game like mechanics that get to see in the Completionist Chronicles. For those of you who do not know the series, the Divine Dungeon series is Dakota Crowd's first series and would highly recommend it. Arturian Archive is a spin-off slash side series that changes the main character to the Sunshine and Love grandpa that we know. And yeah, it's
We're at a fun spot. I'm looking forward to getting closer to being caught up with this series.
I think 9
Saying,
just dropped.
yeah, book 4 of He Who Fights with Monster was great for the world building and the lore, especially coming back to Earth. The Arturian Archive series is like right there, just like we're getting to a really fun spot. Minor spoilers, like getting into the quote alpha phase, right? Just so much fun and potential there. Looking forward to geeking out on that next week. Keeping to the same times for now, 8 p.m. just has been working a lot better for us. Just as always, let us know if there's a time that works better for you guys. We're flexible to schedule them, or if we can, like, there's just so many
Hey, we
good
got the
books.
abilities to do polls.
This is true. We finally, like, thank you for the support. Need to take advantage of the new community features we have on our YouTube channel. Do some
This is true.
polls and in Discord.
Yep. Yep.
So I know it's hard coordinating with everybody. Shirtaloon, who's over there on the other side of the globe. Appreciate you working with your schedule to hang out with us tonight. Yeah.
And
And then
then after that one, we're going back to God King's Legacy.
mm-hmm.
So
have you
this
have you
one is a
listened
little
to this one
more.
yet?
What's up?
Or have you listened to this one yet? This is book 2.
I have not.
Okay.
So here you go.
I was about to say, kind of in the similar vein, I believe this also started out as a internet series by Verkles. This is book 2, another character that we just get to follow and power up. And it's Beastkin,
Yeah,
part
I was gonna
squirrel,
say this
part.
one is a lot more whimsical in nature,
Mm-hmm.
and the main character is a squirrel, so there's a lot more ADDing all over the place. Um, she is quite overpowered, and it, the whole core of book one, or the origin story, is there's someone who pretends to be amazing, and the first book is the God King's Legacy, and he pretends that he did all these things. Turns out it was done primarily through subterfuge, but then we get to essentially see her live through it while ADDing and squirrel over the place. And then, yeah, it is a little bit more mature for some of the
This is true.
nature of the book.
This is true.
It is a great palate cleanser per se after having, real serious and intense books. Um, yeah, yeah. Kind of the opposite of Jason
I was about to
for
say,
dark and mysterious. She's very lively and bubbly. Um,
I catch myself laughing out loud a lot for He Who Fights with Monsters and for the God King's Legacy series, but for different reasons. Um, where Jason kind of has that clever wit, the puns, just like at the end of every chapter, we finish off on kind of like a fun one liner that makes you chuckle. For the Immortal Continent and the God King's Legacy, Lucia is just so, I don't know, squirrelkin naive in a way that you just find yourself laughing at how absurd it is at times. Definitely for mature audiences, though. Um, yeah,
yep,
going to do our best. Next two are, for the most part, locked and loaded. And then I think we got the next couple months out. So just keep an eye, top tier of our YouTube channel and social media for upcoming announcements. Really, really can't thank you guys enough joining us for the live stream, and the dialogue and chat has been great. Again, thank you, Shirtaloon, for joining us, taking time away from writing and answering our questions and clarifying. Means to the world to us, guys. Pete and I both look forward to these couple hours at the end of the weekend, geeking out and hanging out with you guys over our favorite stories.
yep. And that's gonna wrap it up for us. Thank you for hanging out with us, and hope to geek out with you here soon. Bye.
Bye.